Java is an island of Indonesia, with a population of over 141 million or 145 million as of 2015 census released in December 2015. Java is home to 56.7% of the Indonesian population, and is the most populous island on Earth. The Indonesian capital city, Jakarta, is located on Western Java. Much of Indonesian history took place on Java. It was the center of powerful Hindu-Buddhist empires, the Islamic sultanates, and the core of the colonial Dutch East Indies. Java was also the center of the Indonesian struggle for independence during the 1930s and 1940s. Java dominates Indonesia politically, economically and culturally. Formed mostly as the result of volcanic eruptions, Java is the 13th largest island in the world and the 5th largest in Indonesia. A chain of volcanic mountains forms an east-west spine along the island. 3 main languages are spoken on the island, with Javanese being the dominant. It is the native language of about 60 million people in Indonesia, most of whom live on Java. Most residents are bilingual, with Indonesian as their first or second language. While the majority of the people of Java are Muslim, Java has a diverse mixture of religious beliefs, ethnicities, and cultures. Java is divided into 4 provinces: West Java, Central Java, East Java, and Banten, and also 2 special regions, Jakarta and Yogyakarta. Etymology. The origins of the name Java are not clear. One possibility is that the island was named after the Jamawat plant, which was said to be common in the island during the time, and that prior to Indianization the island had different names. There are other possible sources. The word Jau and its variations mean beyond or distant, and in Sanskrit Yava means barley, a plant for which the island was famous. Yavadvipa is mentioned in India's earliest epic, the Ramayana. Sugriva, the chief of Rama's army, dispatched his men to Yavadvipa, the island of Java, in search of Sita. It was hence referred to in Indian by the Sanskrit name, Yavakar-Dvipa. Java is mentioned in the ancient Tamil text Manimikalai that states that Java had a kingdom with a capital called Nagapuram. Another source states that the Java word is derived from a Proto-Austronesian root word, meaning home. The great island of Iabadiu or Jabadiu was mentioned in Ptolemy's Geographia, composed around 150 CE Roman Empire. Iabadiu is said to mean barley island, to be rich in gold, and have a silver town called Argyra at the west end. The name indicates Java, and seems to be derived from Hindu name Java Dvipa. Geography. Java lies between Sumatra to the west and Bali to the east. Borneo lies to the north and Christmas Island is to the south. It is the world's 13th largest island. Java is surrounded by the Java Sea to the north, Sunda Strait to the west, the Indian Ocean to the south, and Bali Strait and Madura Strait in the east. Java is almost entirely of volcanic origin. It contains 38 mountains forming an east-west spine that have at one time or another been active volcanoes. The highest volcano in Java is Mount Semeru. The most active volcano in Java and also in Indonesia is Mount Merapi. More mountains and highlands help to split the interior into a series of relatively isolated regions suitable for wet rice cultivation. The rice lands of Java are among the richest in the world. Java was the first place where Indonesian coffee was grown, starting in 1699. Today, Coffea arabica is grown on the IJEN plateau by smallholders and larger plantations. The area of Java is approximately 150,000 square kilometers. It is about 1,000 kilometers long and up to 210 kilometers wide. The island's longest river is the 600 kilometers long Solo River. The river rises from its source in central Java at the Luru volcano, then flows north and eastward to its mouth in the Java Sea near the city of Surabaya. Other major rivers are Brantis, Citarum, Simanuk and Sarayu. The average temperature ranges from 22 degrees Celsius to 29 degrees Celsius. Average humidity is 75%. The northern coastal plains are normally hotter, averaging 34 degrees Celsius during the day in the dry season. The south coast is generally cooler than the north, and highland areas inland are even cooler. The wet season begins in November and ends in April. During that, rain falls mostly in the afternoons and intermittently during other parts of the year. The wettest months are January and February. West Java is wetter than East Java, and mountainous regions receive much higher rainfall. The Parahyang highlands of West Java receive over 4,000 mm annually, while the north coast of East Java receives 900 mm annually. Natural environment. The natural environment of Java is tropical rainforest, with ecosystems ranging from coastal mangrove forests on the north coast, rocky coastal cliffs on the southern coast, and low-lying tropical forests to high-altitude rainforests on the slopes of mountainous volcanic regions in the interior. The Javan environment in climate gradually alters from west to east, from wet and humid dense rainforest in western parts, to a dry savanna environment in the east, corresponding to the climate and rainfall in these regions. Originally, Javan wildlife supported a rich biodiversity, where numbers of endemic species of flora and fauna flourished, such as the Javan rhinoceros, Javan banteng, Javan warty pig, Javan hawk eagle, Javan peafowl, Javan silvery gibbon, Javan lutung, Java mouse deer, Javan rusa, and Javan leopard. With over 450 species of birds and 37 endemic species, Java is a birdwatcher's paradise. There are about 130 freshwater fish species in Java. Since ancient times, people have opened the rainforest, altered the ecosystem, shaped the landscapes and created rice paddy and terraces to support the growing population. Javan rice terraces have existed for more than a millennium, and had supported ancient agricultural kingdoms. The growing human population has put severe pressure on Java's wildlife, as rainforests were diminished and confined to highland slopes or isolated peninsulas. Some of Java's endemic species are now critically endangered, with some already extinct. Java used to have Javan tigers and Javan elephants, but both have been rendered extinct. Today, several national parks exist in Java that protect the remnants of its fragile wildlife, such as Ujung Kulon, Mount Ilimun Salak, Gede Pangrango, Ballaran, Meru Betiri and Alas Purwa. Administrative division. The island as well as nearby islands are administratively jointly divided into 4 provinces. Banten, capital, Serang. West Java, capital, Bandung. Central Java, capital, Semarang. East Java, capital, Surabaya. And 2 special regions, Jakarta, Yogyakarta, and 4 cultural zones. Western Java, Central Java, East Java excluding Madura Island. Madura Island. History. Fossilized remains of Homo erectus, popularly known as the Java man, dating back 1.7 million years, were found along the banks of the Bengawan Solo River. The island's exceptional fertility and rainfall allowed the development of wet field rice cultivation, which required sophisticated levels of cooperation between villages. Out of these village alliances, small kingdoms developed. The chain of volcanic mountains and associated highlands running the length of Java kept its interior regions and peoples separate and relatively isolated. Before the advent of Islamic states and European colonialism, the rivers provided the main means of communication. Although Java's many rivers are mostly short, only the Brantis and Sala rivers could provide long-distance communication, and this way their valleys supported the centers of major kingdoms. A system of roads, permanent bridges and toll gates is thought to have been established in Java by at least the mid-17th century. Local powers could disrupt the routes as could the wet season, and road use was highly dependent on constant maintenance. Subsequently, communication between Java's population was difficult. Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms era. The Taruma and Sunda kingdoms of Western Java appeared in the 4th and 7th centuries respectively, while the Kalinga kingdom sent embassies to China starting in 640. However, the first major principality was the Medang kingdom that was founded in central Java at the beginning of the 8th century. Medang's religion centered on the Hindu god Shiva, and the kingdom produced some of Java's earliest Hindu temples on the Dieng Plateau. Around the 8th century, the Sailendra dynasty rose in Kedu Plain and became the patron of Mahayana Buddhism. This ancient kingdom built monuments such as the 9th-century Borobudur and Prambanan in central Java. Around the 10th century, the center of power shifted from central to eastern Java. The eastern Javanese kingdoms of Kediri, Singhasari and Majapahit were mainly dependent on rice agriculture, yet also pursued trade within the Indonesian archipelago, and with China and India. Majapahit was established by Wijaya, and by the end of the reign of Hayam Wuruk it claimed sovereignty over the entire Indonesian archipelago, although control was likely limited to Java, Bali and Madura. Hayam Wuruk's prime minister, Gajah Mada, led many of the kingdom's territorial conquests. Previous Javanese kingdoms had their power based in agriculture. However, Majapahit took control of ports and shipping lanes and became Java's first commercial empire. With the death of Hayam Wuruk and the coming of Islam to Indonesia, Majapahit went into decline. Spread of Islam and rise of Islamic sultanates. Islam became the dominant religion in Java at the end of the 16th century. During this era, the Islamic kingdoms of Demak, Cirebon, and Banten were ascendant. The Mataram Sultanate became the dominant power of central and eastern Java at the end of the 16th century. The principalities of Surabaya and Cirebon were eventually subjugated such that only Mataram and Banten were left to face the Dutch in the 17th century. Colonial periods. Java's contact with the European colonial powers began in 1522 with a treaty between the Sunda Kingdom and the Portuguese in Malacca. After its failure, the Portuguese presence was confined to Malacca and to the eastern islands. In 1596, a four-ship expedition led by Cornelis de Houtman was the first Dutch contact with Indonesia. By the end of the 18th century, the Dutch had extended their influence over the sultanates of the interior. Internal conflict prevented the Javanese from forming effective alliances against the Dutch. Remnants of the Mataram survived as the Surakarta and Yogyakarta principalities. Javanese kings claimed to rule with divine authority, and the Dutch helped them to preserve remnants of a Javanese aristocracy by confirming them as regents or district officials within the colonial administration. Java's major role during the early part of the colonial period was as a producer of rice. In spice-producing islands like Banda, rice was regularly imported from Java to supply the deficiency in means of subsistence. During Napoleonic Wars in Europe, the Netherlands fell under France's Republic, and so did its colony in East Indies. During the short-lived Daendels administration, the construction of Java Great Post Road was commenced in 1808. The road span from Enia in western Java to Panarukan in East Java, served as a military supply route to defend Java from incoming British invasion. In 1811, Java was captured by the British, becoming a possession of the British Empire, and Sir Stamford Raffles was appointed as the island's governor. In 1814, Java was returned to the Dutch under the terms of the Treaty of Paris. In 1815, there may have been 5 million people in Java. In the second half of the 18th century, population spurts began in districts along the north-central coast of Java, and in the 19th century population grew rapidly across the island. Factors for the great population growth include the impact of Dutch colonial rule, including the imposed end to civil war in Java, the increase in the area under rice cultivation, and the introduction of food plants such as cassava and maize that could sustain populations that could not afford rice. Others attribute the growth to the taxation burdens and increased expansion of employment under the cultivation system, to which couples responded by having more children in the hope of increasing their family's ability to pay tax and buy goods. Cholera claimed 100,000 lives in Java in 1820. The advent of trucks and railways where there had previously only been buffalo and carts, telegraph systems. There were no significant famines in Java from the 1840s through to the Japanese occupation in the 1940s. Ethnological factors are also thought to have contributed to the increase in population. In Java, there was no absolute preference for boy babies that was significant in Java, where agriculture depends on the labor of both men and women. Furthermore, the age of first marriage dropped during the 19th century, thus increasing a woman's childbearing years. Independent Indonesian nationalism first took hold in Java in the early 20th century, and the struggle to secure the country's independence following World War II was centered in Java. The abortive coup and the subsequent violent anti-communist purge in 1965–66 largely took place in Java. In 1998, preceding the fall of Suharto's 32-year presidency, large riots targeted the Chinese Indonesians in another series of pogroms.